What is actually hidden behind that mesmerizing aroma wafting from your kitchen when you wake up in the morning? For most of us, coffee is just a bitter liquid we quickly gulp down simply to wake up. But one of the greatest illusions in the culinary world lies right here. Great coffee isn't inherently bitter. Bad brewing is. Think about it this way. While a well-aged fine wine contains around 400 volatile aroma compounds, that single cup of black coffee sitting in front of you holds over 1,000 unique chemical compounds dancing together. Today, we won't look at this mug as just a beverage. We will examine it as a hyper-complex chemical solution that blends thermodynamics, evolutionary biology, and a legal psychotropic that altered the course of human history. Welcome, Chef. Today we are decoding the molecular architecture of coffee. It all began in the wild highlands of Ethiopia as a brutal defense mechanism. The caffeine that nature bestowed upon the coffee plant isn't a reward for living things. It is a lethal biological weapon. Caffeine is a natural pesticide designed to paralyze or kill insects trying to eat the plant by overloading their central nervous systems. Yet evolutionary biology stumbled upon a massive exploit in the human brain. As we work and expend energy throughout the day, a molecule called adenosine accumulates in our brains. As adenosine binds to its receptors, it delivers that familiar message: you are tired. It's time to slow down and sleep. The molecular structure of caffeine is so remarkably similar to adenosine that once it enters our bloodstream and reaches the brain, it goes straight to these receptors and locks them up like a key. It doesn't activate the receptor, it physically blocks it. In other words, caffeine doesn't actually give you extra energy. It temporarily sabotages your brain's ability to realize it is tired. The very poison created by a plant to keep bugs away becomes the fundamental fuel that allowed us to build the modern world. So how did this tiny molecule radically change human history? For that, we need to travel back to 17th century Europe, right where rational thinking began to spark. At the time, finding clean and safe drinking water in cities was nearly impossible. Because of this, people consumed fermented beverages like beer and wine from dawn until dusk just to stay hydrated. Society was quite literally living in a mild, alcohol-induced, foggy state of mind from sunrise to sunset. Then, coffee suddenly entered the scene. This new liquid, where water was boiled and purified of microbes and then infused with this mind-awakening molecule, shifted humanity from a state of collective sluggishness to an era of collective awakening and sharp focus. Coffee houses in London and Paris became hubs, not for the drunken brawls brought on by alcohol, but for rational, intellectual debates among scientists, philosophers, merchants, and engineers. The massive historical breakthroughs we now call the Age of Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution were triggered during this exact period, powered by the mental focus and thermodynamic energy that coffee provided to society. Now, let's step into the shoes of a chef and an engineer and look inside the cup, straight at our kitchen. Brewing coffee is essentially a microscopic race where hot water extracts flavors from the coffee grounds against the clock. The very second hot water hits the coffee, fruity and sour notes pour into the cup first. Immediately after, the sweet, chocolatey, and nutty aromas that give coffee its true, balanced character dissolve into the water. In the final stage, the heavy, woody bitterness we want to avoid mixes into the brew. The secret to making the perfect cup at home is to stop this race exactly during that second stage, right at the peak of those sweet aromas. To achieve this, never pour boiling water straight onto your coffee. Let the boiling water rest for about a minute to drop to the ideal temperature of around 93 degrees Celsius. If your coffee tastes too sour, grind your beans a bit finer or increase the contact time with water. If you get a bitter, overly harsh cup, grind your coffee coarser to prevent the water from pulling out those unpleasant heavy compounds. When you manage these extraction parameters correctly in your kitchen, you will see that coffee is far more than a mundane morning routine. That cup is the direct result of a plant's evolutionary defense mechanism, a sociological revolution that changed history, and a flawless chemical reaction happening right on your countertop. Share your water temperatures, grind sizes, and ideal recipes with me in the comments, chef. In the next masterclass, we will continue to explore the science behind the kitchen and bend the hidden chemistry of food. Stay curious and bon appetit.